Michael, forgive me. I need to, you are being upstaged by the President of the United States. We need to go to the White House and listen in.
On the opposite side of John McCain. John McCain liked wars. I will be a better warrior than anybody, but when we fight a war, we're going to win them. And frankly, I was never a fan of John McCain. You know that. It's been very obvious. But I had to approve his entire funeral. I wanted him to get. He deserved a first class. You know, it all was approved by me. We sent Air Force One to pick up the casket, a lot of things. But no, I was not a fan of John McCain because he wanted the endless wars. And I didn't. I thought that the way the vets were taken care of, our great vets, was not good, not appropriate. And of course, he took the fake dirty dossier and gave it over to the FBI. So this is not somebody I'm not supposed to say, what a wonderful guy. So, you know what? I lived with him. He lived with me, but we had different philosophies. I think my philosophy is right. I think it's turned out to be right. But I wasn't a fan. But I respect people, and I respect a lot of people. That doesn't mean I necessarily have to agree with them, and I didn't agree with him on a lot of things. The story is a hoax written by a guy who's got a tremendously bad history. The magazine itself, which I don't read, but I hear it's just totally anti-Trump. He's a big Obama person. He's a big Clinton person. And he made up the story. It's a totally made-up story. In fact, I was very happy to see Zach Fuentes came out and said, now I think that's number 15. And these are people that were there. That's the 15th person, General Kellogg. Everybody that was there knew what happened. And so I was happy to see that Zach came out and said it's not true. He just came out. And it's a disgrace. Who would say a thing like that? Only an animal would say a thing like that. There's nobody that has more respect for not only our military, but for people that gave their lives in the military. There's nobody, and I think John Kelly knows that. I think he would know that. I think he knows that from me. But Zach Fuentes, as you know, worked for John. And I think they both know that. But Zach came out, as you know, today or yesterday, last night, and said very strongly that he didn't hear anything like that. Even John Bolton came out and said that was untrue. Now, what was true is that we had the worst weather. I think it was as bad a rain as I've just about ever seen. And it was a fog. You literally couldn't see. I walked out. I didn't need somebody to tell me. I walked out. I said, there's no way we can take helicopters in this. I understand helicopters very well. And they said, no, sir, that's been canceled. They would have had to go, Secret Service, I have the whole list. They would have had to go through a very, very busy section during the day of Paris. They would have had to go through the city. The Paris police were asking us, please don't do it, because they're not ready. When you do that, you need a lot of time. They take days and days and days to prepare for that. I wanted to do it very badly. I was willing to sit in a car for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I didn't care. It didn't matter. And I had nothing else to do. I went there for that. I had nothing else to do. It was ended because of the terrible weather, and nobody was prepared to go through, in terms of Paris, the police, the military, and the Secret Service. And they came out very strongly and said, sir, we can't allow you to make this trip. If I wanted to, sir, we can't allow you from a safety standpoint. It was a phony story, just like the dirty dossier, the fake dirty dossier, just like the Russia collusion, just like all of the other phony stories. And there'll be more phony stories. But I do appreciate Zach coming out. But Zach now is the 15th person that's denied it. Zach now, I think, also talked about the weather aspect of it. And he's probably the 14th or 15th person that blamed it on weather. So that's enough of that. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Christina Bob, One American News. Thank you for holding the briefing.
Thank you.
We're seeing judges, most recently in Detroit, limit police ability to use non-lethal force. My first question would be, should the police be allowed to use non-lethal force to quell the violence in their cities?
We're talking about where non-lethal force?
Right, so in the riots, most recently.
The riots?
Yes.
Well, I think what's happened is the toughness. These are Democrat-run cities all, and there's no retribution. They stand there, they throw things at the people that are supposed to be protecting something, and nothing happens. They throw rocks, they throw cans of soup, they throw lots of hard objects, and rarely does anything happen. But I've told, when we have the federal in there, as you know, I told the U.S. Marshals to go get the man who killed another man, and they know who it was, and you have to arrest him. You have to arrest him. After 2.5 days, they didn't arrest him. The U.S. Marshals went in, and it ended up being a gunfight, and the man was killed. But this is a man that had a bad record, and there's a man that killed a man in the street. I mean, I witnessed it. Most people witnessed it. And the U.S. Marshals went in. They weren't playing games. They can't play games. If somebody is breaking the law, there's got to be a form of retribution. I watch so often when I watch some of the areas that we're talking about. Now we have Rochester. That's, again, Democrat governor, Democrat mayor, all Democrats, every one of them. And it always will be. I was with the governor of Texas. He looked at me and said, I can't imagine how they allowed this to happen. And, you know, it's different. It's different. I could talk about other governors saying the same thing. Yeah, please, go ahead.
I could follow up on that. We're also hearing reports of groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter traveling around the country, leaving their home cities to go riot and protest in other cities where they're causing damage. Do we expect to see prosecutions or charges in the Department of Justice for those traveling for that purpose?
So we have now over 1,000 people, federal, in jail. We're prosecuting many people. A big thing was when I signed the law putting people in jail if you knock down monuments. That was 3 months ago. There hasn't been a federal monument knocked down in 3 months or even thought about. I don't think they've even thought about it. So that's had a very big impact. Very big impact. But yeah, we're going around, and the nice part is you people see those people up there, they take nice pictures of everybody, so we don't even have to bother. We can use the news photos. We had a photo right over there of Andrew Jackson, the monument. He was getting ready, and this guy was a big, brave guy, and he was up like this, and he was showing off to all his friends, and he got arrested. So did a lot of other people get arrested. And I would say we have the ultimate proof. Now, in that case, we got there before they ripped down the statue of Andrew Jackson, which is so beautiful, which is right over there. But they never got it. But right after that, I signed an order saying you go to prison for 10 years. And as soon as I signed that order, that was the end of the statues coming down. But they have other ideas. They've got plenty of ideas. They're not at want for ideas. Please, go ahead.
Mr. Spunt, David Spunt from Fox News. Mr. Trump, Mr. President, thank you for taking my question. Sir, you talked a lot about the economy and touted the economy. 3 weeks ago in Bedminster, I asked you specifically why you have not called Democratic leadership to the White House to meet with them. If they don't want to meet, it's on them. A lot of people are criticizing you. I cover you on the weekends and stuff. You're doing a lot of golfing. Why have you not met with them in person? I mean, we're in September. There's no deal. There's no hope of a deal. We're 2 months out from the election.
Don't say there's no hope. Why do you say there's no hope? What do you know?
Well, what can you say?
What do you know?
It doesn't seem like...
And let me just tell you, I know my customers. That's what I do. I know Pelosi. I know Schumer very well. They don't want to make a deal because they think it's good for politics if they don't make a deal. This has nothing to do with anything other than you have to know who you're dealing with. I do. These are people that I don't have a lot of respect. I don't think they have a lot of respect for the American people. And I know who I'm dealing with. And I don't need to meet with them to be turned down. They don't want to make a deal because they know that's good for the economy. And if they make a deal that's good for the economy, and therefore it's good for me for the election in November 3rd, and therefore they're not going to make a deal. Now, if we gave the store away, if we bailed out all of their Democrat-run cities where we give them $1 trillion, which is the kind of money they want $1 trillion to bail out badly run Democrat cities and states, whether it's New York or Illinois or others, they want to bail them out. And we're saying, well, we're not going to pay that kind of a price in order to bail the cities. We'll do something to help cities, but that's going to have to rest on its own. And why didn't you do this at the beginning? Because they could have done it at the beginning. So I know who I'm dealing with. And I'm on the phone with Mnuchin and with Meadows and with all of these people constantly, you know, while they're there. But I also know when it's time to meet with people. I've done very well with deals, okay? That's what I do. And I know when it's time to meet. But I don't have to meet them in order to be turned down and in order for them to walk out to the sticks, which is the microphones, and give you people a false report of what just took place in the Oval Office. So they don't want to make a deal because they think that if the country does as badly as possible, even though a lot of people are being hurt, that's good for the Democrats. But, David, that's a bad thing. Yeah, please, go
But
ahead.
as president, shouldn't you take the high road, sir?
I am taking the high road. I'm taking the high road by not seeing them. That's the high road. Yeah.
And you,
Thank you, Mr. President. David,
And if I thought it made a difference or would make a difference, I'd do it in a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, David Jackson, USA Today. My question is about the Durham report, which you have talked about recently. You said, let's see what happens. Now, you've accused people of committing crimes against you during the Russian investigation.
Yeah,
including
sure,
President
sure.
Obama.
They spied on my campaign, that's right.
My question-
They spied on my campaign, and if they were Democrats, they would have been in jail 2 years ago. They would have been in jail, literally, if this side were the Democrat side, they would have been in jail 2 years ago for 50-year terms for treason and other things.
My question is, do you want the Justice Department to indict people over this?
I'm not going to say that. I have to see the report. I haven't seen it. I don't know if that was a good thing, smart thing, I don't know. But nobody can complain about it. I have every right to have been very much involved, and maybe someday I'll get involved in it. They spied on my campaign, and that includes Biden and Obama. They spied on my campaign trying to defeat me. They wrote up a fake dossier that has proven to be totally fake, written by Christopher Steele, paid for by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, and they used that illegally in the FISA courts. If we did what they did, you would have many people in jail right now, and you have, other than the one agent that admitted his guilt, that he forged documents, we don't have that yet. But the report hasn't been issued yet. Let's see what happens. But let me just say something. President Obama and Biden, Sleepy Joe, he knew everything that was happening. They were spying on my campaign and they got caught. Now let's see what happens. But if this were the opposite way, people would have been jailed. They would have been in jail already for a period of at least, it would have started 2 years ago, and it would have been for 50 years for treason. Because you can't do that. That's never, and nothing like that's ever happened before. Then they created, at tremendous expense, the money they paid is tremendous. I'm sure you know the money that was paid, millions of dollars. They created a fake dossier, proven to be now fake, everyone, and they used it in the FISA courts. That's a crime. So far, I haven't seen anybody have a problem, but the report hasn't been issued yet. Let's see what happens with the Durham report. But this started at Obama. And some people would say, and some people, well, but he was the president, like, let's leave him alone. If it were me, they wouldn't be leaving me alone, I can tell you. It's a totally double standard, and it's a disgrace. And if I were a Republican senator, and if I were a Republican congressman, and we have some great ones, but we have a lot of them that don't fight the way that the other side fights. We have much better policy. We have much better things going for us, like borders and walls and immigration and no sanctuary cities, and they have a lot of bad stuff going. But they're dirty fighters. And the dirtiest fight of all is the issuance of 80 million ballots. Unrequested. They're not requested. They're just sending 80 million ballots all over the country. 80 million ballots, non-requested. I call them unsolicited ballots. That's going to be the dirtiest fight of all. People are going to get ballots. They're going to say, what am I doing? And then they're going to harvest. They're going to do all the things. And if you look at the last period of 6 months, take a look at the races where they've sent ballots out. Take a look at Carolyn Maloney, whose race should be redone because she won that race totally unfairly to her opponent. Her opponent did very well against her. That race should be rerun. But they declared her the winner because they heard I found out about it. But take a look at what's happened in New Jersey and in Virginia and different places. It's a disgrace. That'll be a beauty. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. If proven true, are you okay with Postmaster General DeJoy and the fact that he asked former employees at his private company to make donations to the GOP and then reimburse them? Are you okay with that?
I don't know too much about it. I read something this morning, but I don't. Other than that, I'd have to see it. He's a very respected man. He was approved very much by both parties, I guess. It was sort of an approval that took place by both parties. I don't know exactly what the story is. I'll certainly know within a short period of time. I just read it for the first time. I read it this morning just like you did.
Would you support an investigation, sir?
Sure.
And
I think let the investigations go, but he's a very respected man. Again, it was a bipartisan commission. Postmaster General is appointed by a bipartisan commission. and we'll see how that goes. But no, I think he's a very honest guy, but we'll see. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Go ahead,
follow up, please, if you don't mind. If it's proven to be a campaign finance scheme, do you think he should lose his job?
Yeah, if something could be proven that he did something wrong, always. You know?
Thank you.
Always. They've been looking at me for 4 years. They found nothing. 4 years. Think of it. For 4 years, from the day I came down the escalator, I've been under investigation by sleaze, and they found nothing. They found nothing. A friend of mine said, you have to be the most innocent, honorable man ever to hold the office of president. Think of it. They spent, just Mueller alone, he spent, I guess the real number turned out to be $48 million, but whatever it was, many, many millions of dollars. They had 18 angry Democrats looking. They had FBI agents all over the place. They had and they have no collusion. Friends of mine have said, sophisticated friends have said, you've got to be the most innocent guy ever to hold this office. And there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. After Navalny poisoning, Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany is under pressure to cancel Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia to Germany. Would you support such a move? Do you think the project should be canceled?
Sure. Well, I've been supportive of that. I was the first one that brought it up. You never heard of Nord Stream 2 until Trump came along. When I came along, I said, wait a minute. We're protecting Germany from Russia, right? NATO. We're protecting Germany from Russia. Germany's paying Russia billions and billions of dollars to get their energy, and the real number is probably 60 to 70% ultimately of their energy is going to come from Russia. And I said this for years, that nobody talks about it. One of the many things between sanctions and all of what we've done for Ukraine relative to what the past had. They used to send pillars and we sent tank busters. But I brought that up a long time ago. Russia's unhappy that I brought it up. But you never heard of Nord Stream 2. Nobody did until I got elected. And I said, why is Germany making a deal to give billions of dollars to Russia, and then we're protecting Germany from Russia? How does that work? And then on top of it, Germany is delinquent because they're only paying a little more than 1%, and they're supposed to be paying 2%, and even the 2% is low. But just remember, Trump, me, I got the countries of NATO to spend $130 billion going to $400 billion a year. Think of it, $400 billion a year more for NATO. And the purpose of NATO primarily is Europe protection against Russia. Now they can use it for other, I guess, and they have a little bit in the Middle East, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm the one that did that. So, but nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about Nord Stream 2. The answer is absolutely, if they feel that something happens. But I don't know that Germany's in a position right now, because Germany's in a very weakened position energy-wise. They're closing all their plants. They're closing their nuclear. They're closing their coal. They're closing a lot of plants. And they have put themselves in a very bad position, frankly. Very, very bad position. Yeah, please.
Can I follow up on Doug Mason's question? Have you asked John Kelly to publicly refute the Atlantic? And then can I ask something?
No, I have nothing against John. I have nothing against anybody. No. I was very heartened to see that a friend of his, because I know Zach is a friend of his and worked for him, I was very heartened to see that Zach Fuentes came out with the statement that he did, I guess, late last night, that it was not true.
Another question on this topic, Mr. President. Mr. President, what exactly is un-American about federal government training programs that are aimed at improving inclusivity?
Well, we're going to do a report. Yeah, I fired those people. They're all gone. And it was a disgrace, frankly. And we're going to give you a big report that's going to make you very happy. All right. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Darlene Superville, AP. You said a moment ago, they'll say anything. You were talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their comments about the vaccine. You have a...
No, they say worse. They say negative. They say negative. They're going to make the vaccine into a negative so that when we have it, and I spoke to the head of Pfizer, I spoke to the head of Johnson & Johnson, I spoke to the head of the greatest medical companies in the world. We're doing great. We're going to have it soon. Wait a minute. So now what they're saying is, oh, wow, this is bad news. President Trump is getting this vaccine in record time. By the way, if this were the Obama administration, you wouldn't have that vaccine for 3 years, and you probably wouldn't have it at all. So we're going to have a vaccine very soon, maybe even before a very special date. You know what date I'm talking about. But let me just tell you, wait. And what they're doing, because they think it is going fast, and if you talk to a lot of your sources, if you have sources, if you talk to your sources in the FDA, you'll see it's going very, very well. The numbers are looking unbelievably strong, unbelievably good. So now they're saying, wow, Trump's pulled this off. Okay, let's disparage the vaccine. That's so bad for this country. That's so bad for the world to even say that. And that's what they're saying it. But I watched Kamala's poll numbers drop from 15 to almost 0, and then drop out even before she ran in Iowa because people didn't like her. And I understand why. She will never be president, although I have to be careful because Obama used to say that about me, so I have to be a little bit careful.
Right.
But you have to look at her a little bit more closely because obviously Joe's not doing too well. So you're going to have to look at her a little bit too closely. But she's talking about disparaging a vaccine so that people don't think the achievement was a great achievement. I don't want the achievement for myself. I want something that's going to make people better, that people aren't going to get sick with. That includes therapeutics, where we're doing equally as well. Therapeutics. Go ahead.
Your point is that what they're saying is that they're saying it for political purposes.
Yes.
You have asserted repeatedly that a vaccine will be on the market before the election.
No, I didn't say they will. I said by the end of the year.
The same thing that
No, but you're not quoting me accurately. I said that vaccines will be on the market before the end of the year, but they may even be on the market. They may even be developed and fully developed, tested, everything else. You know, we have 30,000 people in just one vaccine right now under test in very, very highly infected areas. So we're going to be able to get a good result one way or the other very soon. So I didn't say what you said. What I said is by the end of the year, but I think it could even be sooner than that. It could be during the month of October, actually. Could be before November.
Are you also saying that for political reasons?
No, I'm saying that because we want to save a lot of lives. With me, it's the faster the better. With somebody else, maybe they would say it politically, but I'm saying it in terms of this is what we need. We have to have, if we get the vaccine early, that's a great thing, whether it's politics or not. Now, do benefits inure if you're able to get something years ahead of schedule? I guess maybe they do. But the most important thing to me is saving lives. It's the most important thing. Yeah, go ahead in the back.
Hi. Just based on some of your recent tweets, sir, do you...
You sound so clear, as opposed to everybody else where they refuse.
Your tweets about the 1619 project, why do you object to that being taught in schools? And do you object to slavery itself being taught in schools?
Yeah, so no, I want everybody to know everything they can about our history. I'm not a believer in cancel culture, the good or the bad. If you don't study the bad, it could happen again. So I do want that subject studied very, very carefully and very accurately. But we grew up with a certain history, and now they're trying to change our history, revisionist history. That's why they want to take down our monuments. That's why they want to take down our statues. I saw something the other day which was absolutely horrendous. Washington Monument, they want to rename it. The D.C. committee, but the D.C. committee is all Democrats. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, we're talking about, this is the big stuff now. This is the big stuff. And they want to rename it. They want to redesignate it. They want to take some down. No, we don't do that. Never going to happen with me, I guarantee you that. Well, I want to thank you all, and I just want to wish you a very happy Labor Day, and we're having tremendous success, whether it's on the vaccines, whether it's on the pandemic, the plague that came in from China that China should have never let happen, because I will never feel the same about China. And I just want to, again, wish you a happy Labor Day. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so